Hi, my name is Neb Camus Senatumbre, and this is the 8th video in the series Malachi's Mission Earth. The Homo sapien was mixed with the seed of the Anunnaki. This was the process. When the seed of Ninti and Adi Uru were ready for transplant from the heavens to key Earth, it was brought to the planet Earth, and this gene or cell was genetically spliced into the DNA of Atum, the ruler of the Atomites, and also the DNA of Ptah, the ruler of the Kishites. In time, Ptah gave birth to the daughter called Nekeba, meaning tribal leader, and before that, Atum gave birth to a son called Kadmon, meaning up front. Pay attention now. How was this great task undertaken? While Kadmon was yet a babe of 2 years of age before the very birth of Nekeba, the chemists Nergal, Anunnaki Nergal, and Arishkigal had perfected the gene of Kadmon to make his offspring, bone of his bone and flesh of his flesh. So he was put in a deep sleep, and the chemists went into the marrow of his bone, and they extracted a cell from his blood to create his counterpart Nekeba. Although the first hybrid was called Adam, he was originally called Lulu Amilu, primitive worker. He was neutral sex, a hermaphrodite, until female was taken from out of his genes. Are you listening? A hybrid is the offspring of two different parents that belongs to different species, stock, or breeds, and usually cannot reproduce. The original male species was given the chromosomes to reproduce. X and Y, female and male, being able to reproduce without a mate. However, the female species is a hybrid of the male species and cannot reproduce by herself. Women are considered hermaphrodites because they have two genitals, a penis, which is their clitoris, and a vagina. Therefore, there was no need for the removal of any bones or ribs of Zakar. All that was needed was the chromosomes of his blood cells, which was found in the bone or the marrow or the bone marrow of his ribs, of which both male and female have 24, 12 on each side. This made Nekeba not only a clone of Kadmon, but also a hybrid. The scientist Nergal performed the gene splicing. At the same time, he removed Kadmon's barytheric gland by taking bone marrow out of Kadmon and placing it in Nekeba so that she would be able to reproduce the X and Y chromosome movement. Thus, Nekeba was the first person to receive blood transfusion. So Kadmon, meaning up front, was created first. Nekeba, meaning tribal leader, was Unthaa, the female, the second part, that was cloned from him. Now do you understand? In ancient Tamare, fertility in Itiru was depicted by a woman nursing with horns on her head. Bull horns are symbolic of how the woman had the male and female latent power within her, meaning she had the ability of reproducing with or without a male. In ancient Tamarae, these horns were symbolic of the Apis bull. In ancient societies, all have pictures of women nursing a child. This is the same picture you find in ancient Babylonia, Sumeria, and Mesopotamia. The most ancient Tamarae sources indicate that during the early times, the sacred bull of Memphis was known by the name Apis, who is a fertility god, and was linked to the sun god dating from the New Kingdom. In the late period, the Apis bull wears a sun disk between his horns, a winged disk, and a sky vulture on his back, and a caparison. When the two ancient representations joined together in the sky, the sun bull and the sky cow, which was the bearer of the sun disk and sun itself, it would take the shape of a young bull as the offspring of the celestial Netir. The sacred Apis bull was selected according to special markings, mainly a light triangle on his forehead. In applying to the woman, as formerly mentioned, the horns and the solar disk of this Netir, this fertility Netir, was seen on many statues that had women nursing child. This had the woman nursing, they had the woman nursing as opposed to men, because men weren't really a part of nature. Nature ties in with nurturing. To nurture, you must produce milk which has nutrients in it. Now, there are some men that do produce mammary fluids, but there isn't any nutrients in it. Thereby, man cannot be considered creative nature. We can only be considered the manifestation of nature, whereas women can be considered the Netir of nature. Why? You men may ask. Because women nurture and give life and birth. Men would only be the manifestation of nature because we infested nature and destroyed nature with our arrogance, and it developed. As a result of this, we are destroying the planet Earth. So, when you ask about the Apis bull, the alligator, and the different sacred animals, which some have been referred to as manat, pets, these were different representations attributed to different Nitiru, as each Aferti or Pharaoh came into power. In Tamarae, they used these symbols and thereby respected nature Nitiru. If you do some research, and again, don't believe me, check it out, you will learn that some men carry the X and X chromosomes. However, they would be considered defects in nature, because if you go as far back as our original supreme beings called Nitirat, Anunnaki Elohim, and Netirt, female Anunnaki Elohim, like Ninti, Nunet, Hathor, and Isis, and other different females, you will discover that they were manipulating the genes, Genesis, of humans, which is now called chromosomal manipulation. They were manipulating the X chromosome by moving 2.8% of the X chromosome that made it. Now, when you look at the X and Y, the question that should come to our minds is, if this is an ancient science that we are speaking about, why are they using the ancient letter X and the English letter Y? Because the reality is, the X and the Y are not originally English letters. They are in actuality Tamarei Egyptian symbols. When you look at the X, you are looking at the symbol of the fish. The Y is an ancient Tamarei symbol with the hook going up and the line coming down. The Greeks came and drew the Y, and that's the ram's horn. Now, because there are few words with X and Y in them, that is proof that the X and the Y are not really English letters. This was done by those scientists called nature, or Nitirt, or Mother Nature, as you refer to them. Those were geneticists, females, who will nurture, or Nitir, manipulating the genes, genetic manipulation, or cellular manipulating, or chromosome shifting, and the result made you what you are today. This is something I have been telling you about for years and wrote about in the scroll entitled Man from Planet Roosevelt on page 9. I had said the manipulating of genes wasn't anything new. You are just using gene mapping and test tube babies and in vitro fertilization, where beings from the seventh constellation of Pleiades and other galaxies have been manipulating genes for centuries. So humans are 1/3 of their mother, 1/3 of their father, and 1/3 of themselves. And that is speaking of nuclear DNA and mitochondria DNA. Don't confuse the two. Mitochondria DNA is DNA that links us back to our ancient mothers. Nunet, Ninti, Nunet, Hathor, and Acetoisis. When it speaks of 1/3, it is speaking about the nuclear DNA, which will be the nucleus of the cell, and the reason why a child can look like mother or father. However, the mitochondrial look deals with the mother, other. Ma meaning mitochondria and other meaning sperm. That force that is trying to attack the body. To put in a nutshell, the mother mitochondria located on the Y chromosome is the male equivalent to mitochondria DNA, called YAP DNA. That is the same as when a female is pregnant with a male child, only without the male sperm, as in a so-called asexual cell splitting into a daughter cell. This practice of splitting and parting and becoming individual life forms is only found in the female or the mother. So in actuality, asexual cells are really F-sexual cells for female sexuality. In other words, the mitochondrial DNA is in the female, which produces the male in a so-called asexual fashion. However, the mother mitochondria or YAP DNA is in the male. Remember, my Nubian people, this great task was done when Kadmon was yet a babe of 2 years old, Yahuwah of the Elohim of the Anunnaki had Kadmon sedated, and the great scientist Nergal, son of Enki, performed the brain surgery of gene splicing to maim him. Kadmon was put in a coma state. The scientist Nergal went into his rib bone to take the cells from the blood of Kadmon to mix it in order to create Nekebo, also called Hawa or Eve, who was destined to be the mate of Kadmon. The scientist Nergal, Shar Itzer, Enki, Ninti, and Areshkigal took Kadmon's X and Y chromosome. They took one of the X chromosomes and closed up the wound in his rib cage. From the X chromosome, which Yahuwah of the Elohim Anunnaki orders the great scientist Nergal Shar Itzer to take from Kadmon, he genetically bred in the genes of Ptah, the Kishites, Bushman tribe, and Anath, the Havilahites, the Dogon tribes, a female child. And she was brought, and they brought her to Nippur in Kodesh. At age 18, when it was time for her to know Kadmon, she was brought into the enclosed garden, the Garden of Eden, to Kadmon to be his mate. Kadmon said to the Anunnaki Kalkael, also called Uriel, Nekebo is my very own flesh and bone transplant, because she was taken out of my genes. She, Nekebo, was also shaped out of the ground. Adama of the planet Earth, the Adamites. This was a form of incest insofar as Nekebo was of the blood of Kadmon, making her his daughter. Holy Tablets, chapter 5, tablet 3, verses 24 through 35. Now, do you understand mother mitochondria or YAP DNA, mitochondria DNA, Unthaa, the second part, female, and Kadmon up front? The Lemba were a tribe of people found in South Africa who had a certain DNA trait traced back to the prophet Moshe, Musa, Moses, and his brother Aaron, Aaron. Not one of these people of this tribe, but all the men of this tribe have this Kohanim, priestly gene trait, which made them a part of the lost tribe of Judah. The study was done by David B. Goldstein, a popular geneticist of Oxford University in England. Reference this article at www.geneart.org called Picturing DNA, Chapter 5, DNA and Race. Also, www.bioethics.umm.edu. Also, an article in the Science News, October the 3rd, 1998, entitled The Priest Chromosome. DNA analysis supports the biblical story of Jewish priesthood by John Travis. The genetic code of the Lemba that distinguishes them from the other Jews and ties them into the tribe of Judah is the same genetic code that can be traced to Sati, Sheath, or Seth. son of Tadaba, Kadmon, Zakar or Adam, and Titi. Nekabal, Hawa or Eve, who was a child of the Anunnaki Elohim. And in the origin of the East Indian, Dravidians, Hindu people, the original Aryans, then go back to the children of the Anunnaki Elohim, the original Negroids, the pure seed. Is this genetic code also seen in the Anunnaki Elohim, or was it placed in the pure seed of the children of the Elohim for a purpose as a genetic ID card to be revealed in this day and time to identify the children of the Elohim, the lost sheep of Israel? Psalms 82, 1 through 6, 83, 1 through 18, and 95, 3. This gene has nothing to do with mitochondrial DNA. The Y chromosome carries heredity in males. As carriers of the Y chromosome, men are responsible for the male gender, thus heredity. The Kohanim gene is carried only through the Y chromosome, YAP DNA.